world number one, Jannik Sinner, punching his ticket to the round of 16. Didn't come easy whatsoever. In fact, Denis Shapovalov, who has been our top-ranked Canadian in the past, he's been a top 10 player before. He's reached semis of Wimbledon. We've seen him produce some big results at Grand Slams in the past. It's just been so inconsistent from him. When he turns it on, it can be really special to watch. And for, the better part of 3 sets almost, he had Sinner in a world of trouble. He won the first set 7-5. Sinner gets back, wins the second. Dennis up 3-love in the third set with points to go up 4-0. And then Sinner just immediately turns the tide, wins 12 of the last 15 games. What do you make of Jannik's composure under pressure? I mean, it feels like this is the most pressure he'd felt probably in a match in quite some time, on a hard court, especially.
He never looked concerned, whereas Shapovalov did look concerned, even when, he had points, as you said, to go up a double break. It's a tough nut to crack, but it was an interesting match because we saw that Shapovalov does actually, in fact, have the artillery to go toe to toe with him, and in fact was actually hitting bigger, even on both wings. So it was a very interesting match. Of course, Sinner has a lot of confidence, and he's been in some sticky situations before recently. So, yeah, well played by both guys, but I would have loved to have seen what would have happened if Chapo had gotten that set.
Yeah, no, exactly. And look, they'd only played one other time, a 5-setter at the Australian Open a handful of years ago. I mean, Jannik was 19 at that time. You look how far he's come since. I look at his section of the draw, and it feels like this was sort of the landmine he's dodged, and now who can possibly stop him from getting to the finals?
From getting to the finals, I'm not sure there's anyone, and the draws opened up sort of nicely for him,
Mhm.
so I wouldn't pick against him.
No, no. Lorenzo Musetti also advancing today, playing well as the 10th seed. Carlos Alcaraz. It's fascinating that kind of early on in this season when he lost to Novak in Australia, had like a bit of a blip. We were actually considering that there might be something wrong with this guy. And now you watch him just completely dominate on center court. He's 57-6 on the year, and he's just been ripping through the opposition. How good has Carlitos looked to you really since the end of Wimbledon?
So relaxed, so joyful, so confident, striking the ball with a lot of authority, heavy ball. It's kind of the opposite of Coco Gauff in some ways, like not thinking
Mhm.
really, just sort of in the zone. I think we're probably looking at another final if it gets to that. Um, I picked Alcaraz to win the tournament. I think I need to see a few more matches if I want to stick with that.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, who is kind of a name for you to watch? We're gonna get to Djokovic in a moment, but who's a name that maybe can challenge, let's say, top two? And then for me, at least Djokovic is kind of the number three in question.
Yeah, I mean, you never say that Djokovic can't challenge either one of these guys.
Mhm.
Um, Fritz, last year's finalist, I watched his match last night. Granted, it was a qualifier, but this Jerome Kim is a very good player who I guess has had some injuries, and maybe that's why he's not quite as far along in his development. But I think he will emerge as a good player. But Taylor really had to problem solve. He won the first set, lost the second set in a tiebreak where he had set points and blew it. So he really had to gather himself and then was able to get the breaks in the final 2 sets. I really think that Taylor doesn't view himself in a static way or as a finished product or this is my game and I either bring my best and it's not good enough. He doesn't see himself that way. He's willing to change some things to see and tweak to see, okay, what can I do? So Yeah, I did an interview with him earlier this year at Delray Beach, and he was very focused on Sinner, Alcaraz, and Djokovic, and he has different strategies and patterns in mind for each guy.
That's good, and obviously that's the next step for him, right? 0-10 against Djokovic, lost to Carlos at Wimbledon, where he was close to pushing it to a fifth set. So you feel like he's getting closer and closer each time he faces one of these guys. Leads me into the kind of American question. I mean, I had circled, and I think a lot of people had circled Ben Shelton as kind of X factor in the draw, someone who, okay, if we're looking for a name to possibly beat Carlos or make a big run, this was the guy. And he played so incredibly well in Toronto. His first Masters 1000 was brimming with confidence with this serve and from the back of the court. So devastating to see him, crash out with this shoulder injury and succumb to that and lose to Adrian Manarino. What did you make of kind of what happened, how it all unfolded, and how he's going to kind of pick up from here?
Manarino himself, after the match, said Ben probably would have won the match had he not hurt his shoulder. And if for those of you who didn't see it, what kind of led up to it was set point in the third set, and Manarino hit an incredible ball that was tailing off the back of the court, and Ben had to dive to make a defensive lob, which he did, and it barely hit on the other baseline. And Manarino missed the shot. But Ben is like, imagine, like somebody doing a push up on the floor. That's how Ben landed.
Yeah.
And then come back in the fourth set after he had been playing so well throughout that set. And a few points later, he's got a problem with his shoulder. So could be a pinched nerve, could be something torn, who knows? But he's so young. I'm sure that he'll retrench and he'll figure it out.
I'm sure he will figure it out. I think another player who wants to bounce back and figure it out, but obviously you feel like every year it's the tournament he's waiting for. Francis Tiafoe always brings his best tennis at the US Open, two-time semifinalist. He's been close to cracking the finals before, wins over Rafa Nadal, challenging Alcaraz back in 2022. He just looked mentally devastated by the straight sets loss to Jan-Lennard Struff, where I just felt like we never saw what big folk can do on a tennis court at Flushing Meadows.
I know he's bummed out about that, but he ran up against a serve and volleyer who has been serve and volleying for years and years and years now. Same with Taylor Townsend. If you play somebody who's really competent at that skill, it's unlike what you have faced in the recent past.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to hit your forehand off of a low skidding stuck volley as opposed to just a rally ball. So you run up against that type of player, you can have a pretty devastating result.
And Grandstand is playing really quick this year, from my understanding too. This is good tactic by Jan-Lennard Struff, who's kind of one of these veterans at the tour, 35 years old, and finds his way through to the third round. Amy, before we wrap, I know you're going back to the U.S. Open. You've been there a couple days. Who do you have your eye on, I guess, as we go into week two?
Well, where my son and I are going to watch, we're going to be in Louis tomorrow. So we're going to see Fritz and we're going to see Townsend, the American. So, and then Sabalenka plays after that. So, and I think Lehechka starts it all off if we can get there in time. But on the women's side, I definitely have my eye on Rybakina.
Mm-hmm.
Things seem to have settled down in her team and her off the court, and she seems pretty happy and she's striking the ball exceptionally well. Outside of Alcaraz and Sinner, I have my eye on Djokovic.
Of course,
I
Novak.
mean, I know it goes without saying, but just watching his last match, I couldn't believe how well he was moving against Nori. And he took a medical timeout for his back in the first set. Whatever he did seemed to work, and just outclassed Cam Norrie. So you
If
just never know.
I know, just to close on Novak. I mean, you think about he's made round of 16. I heard 16 times at the U.S. Open. Like that's insane. I mean, to have a career with enough longevity to even play the U.S. Open 16 times, let alone position yourself in the final week, of this major, just every single time he is there, and his ability to weather the storm, because Nori tied it with that. He was playing incredible ball at the end of that second set, running on adrenaline. He breaks to start the third. And that's ironically kind of when I turned on the TV and suddenly Djokovic, he's never rattled by anything. He flipped the script so quickly in this match and just completely took over. And look, if his body holds up, he is a contender to win this thing.
Absolutely. I was worried about his fitness coming in. That first match against Tien, who ran him all over the court, despite the fact that, it was an easy win by Novak, he did run in that
Yeah.
match. I think maybe that was beneficial because Novak started to get his lung capacity back. And just looking at him last night in the all black kit, he looks as fit as ever.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable. Amy, it's always fantastic to have you on Match Point Canada. Thanks so much for joining us, and enjoy the final week of the US Open.
Anytime. You guys enjoy it too. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you guys so much for watching us at Match Point Canada. If you like our work, follow along, hit the subscribe button below.